Hey, true believers, Englentine here, and I just got finished reading Avengers No Surrender 1 through 3. And it was weird because I finished and I went, so what happened? What's going on in this story? It amazed me how little information seems to be given during these 3 issues. What is the purpose of this story? So I thought, okay, I'm going to go through every issue, scour every page, really try to figure out what is being said in this comic book, what is being done, what are they doing right and wrong. And I figured, well, okay, if I'm going to do this, then I'm making a video out of it. Got to get something, right? And the first big mistake of the book is the cover, right off the bat. The main character they're pushing is Rogue, so is this a Rogue story? Wait, she's an Avenger? Since when? She's always been an X-Men. As a matter of fact, look at her costume. On her belt, she's got that yellow X. Now, we, of course, know that Rogue is part of Avengers Unity or some sort of bizarre thing like that. But to new readers, no, it's a big mess. But then it unfolds and you find out that all the major players are on the back cover. The only front cover major player is Black Panther, and he's about an inch tall. You could say Captain Marvel, but nobody really is buying into that. Not even new readers. This is a mess of a cover. If they had switched it, you have the major players on the front, then maybe I could say it would be a successful cover. It does have a sense of chaos. There's something going on in the background, some big explosion, but if the major characters were on the front, it could appeal to both new and older readers. As is, it's a dud. The first 3 pages of Avengers 675 is just an establishing shot, not of the book itself, but of a specific character, Lightning. And it's just something that comic books seem to be doing now. They're trying to be more cinematic, where they have an opening action scene, and then they break into the big credit reveal. And in this case, they do it, I think, on a grand scale as we open up and we see the Falcon flying against a red sky. Yeah, it's cool and all, but we just lost 4 pages that could have told us what was going on, and instead we're introduced to a character who's going to be a minor character at best in the next 3 issues, and then we're just shown a red sky and the Falcon. Tells us absolutely nothing about the book or the story in 4 pages. The next page has Falcon saving somebody from a car accident and a whole bunch of people in the streets while that car is being destroyed, and the only pertinent information we get is that Falcon is his name and he's the leader of the Avengers. Now, this may be the first good page. I don't know if I should run a count, but this is the first good page in the story. Not that it tells us who any of these people are, but it shows worldwide destruction and that the superheroes feel out of their league. And I think this page does what it's supposed to do. However, we still have no idea what is happening or why. So anyway, Vision says, hey, Alpha Flight Tower, what did you see up there? And we cut to this page, which also is pretty decent because it gives us a lot of information we need. The Earth is missing. It's no longer there. Marvel and the team cannot see it, and it does it in 3 simple panels. 7 pages in to this 22-page comic book. That's 1/3, and we're finally getting to the story. Next page as well does a pretty good job at giving us enough exposition so we understand what's going on. But basically, only one very important piece of information is given to us. We're introduced to the Vision, Beast, and T'Challa, and Beast says the planet is not surrounded by energy, it's been moved. So now the people on the ground know what the people in space know. Then we're kind of back to being dumb again. The only important information, I guess, would be that communications are down, except for they're still communicating, so that's not even anything. Then we get the added stupidity of Thor saying, and I am quoting here, today we find out, oh, I'm sorry, I should go back a little bit. Mjolnir can summon lightning. Today we find out whether or not it can catch it. Thor is not 15, 20 years old. Are you saying that in all of the existence, because we are told this is the real Thor, that Thor has never tried to catch lightning? That Thor does not know exactly that it can? That we have not seen it as comic book readers before? Yeah, this is just not good. Who wrote this again? I hear he sometimes is claimed that he himself is crazy. Crazy is okay, but stupid and thinking your readers are stupid, that's a different problem. Like the previous page introduced us to Thor by showing that she's an idiot, this shows us everything we have to know about Hercules. Congratulations, guys. We know he's strong. We know he's overconfident in the way he says anything Atlas can do, I can do better. And we know he's, well, I guess I said strong, but he's also headstrong, willing to run into danger. Good introductory action scene. Congratulations, that's officially what, 3 pages that's good? 4 pages? 4 good pages. In the next 2 pages, basically we're being introduced to the Wasp. Not the real Wasp, but the Nadia Wasp from the series they had last year that really, really was not good. Well, this isn't any good either. All it shows to is really this Nadia Pym girl is a bit of a ditz, and she's supposed to be a genius just like every other young Marvel character. They also tease the death of Jarvis. A big deal now. But let's see how that pans out. And it's at a certain point, it just becomes embarrassing. You know what important information you get on this page? The tidal wave is big. Now, granted, it shows the 2 teams in action trying to stop the tidal wave, but the water's going to go somewhere. Even if you turn it to steam, there's going to be some sort of ecological trouble. We go over to New Mexico, and we just see, okay, well, this is Hawkeye, and this is Red Wolf, and we're in Occupy Avengers. Just to let you know, we're in these books also. It's like a roll call. This entire series, or at least this first book, is one big, long Avengers roll call. Shibuya roll call. My name is Hawkeye. I shoot the arrows. I'm not a predator. I'm just a sparrow. Roll call. This book is dumb. As dumb as my trying to sing the Shibuya roll call song. And I know at this point, I really am starting to repeat myself. It's all a roll call. It's all just them introducing. Now, granted, there's a lot of action. If this was a movie, it would definitely be like a 1980s, 90s action piece where they didn't bother with any kind of character. They just told you, this is the hero and this is his name, now go. And you would just, I mean, it could be balls out action, a lot of fun, but even the best action movie has some sort of character. You really do get to know the hero. And we go along. Okay, now we're meeting US Avengers. Now we're meeting Occupy Avengers. And if you haven't noticed, basically my entire point up to now has been that this book is incredibly repetitive. It just does the same thing. Introduce disaster. Introduce disaster. Without, once again, letting us really know who they are. We get names, but that's about it. And then, okay, there's destruction. Now, it does get a little weirder here where Captain America is talking to Black Panther, and then all of a sudden in the middle of his action, he stops. And we find out he's not the only one in stasis. Spider-Man is put into stasis while swinging across New York. Why he's not falling to his death, we have no idea. Black Panther, while he was looking at his monitors, trying to figure out what's going on. And the Champions, while they decided to go for a leisurely jog in the desert while chaos reigned around them. Yet the desert, nor New York, does not have the red sky of destruction that we've seen all over the rest of the world. Why? At least there's some sort of mystery to come up in future issues. But we see that there are more heroes and villains, I assume, that have just been frozen in some sort of stasis around the world. And so every Avenger is called, and I swear that, I believe anyway, that the first few pages with Lightning was just so they had this payoff. When my Avengers card starts buzzing, I almost don't recognize it. It's been years since Living Lightning was on the team. I figure if they're calling me now, they're calling everybody, which means it's as bad as it can get, right? And so we get a joke that took 5 pages that could have been told in a panel or 2, leaving more room for characterization or exposition. Then we learn that Jarvis isn't dead, he's just in the hospital, and he could die. I wouldn't count on that happening. But what really gets me is Rogue as an Avenger lead. Wouldn't you take the core team and split them off into their own teams? Just saying. To be an Avenger. You could be any other team if you want, but an Avenger, is there any kind of prestige to it anymore? Well, at least Quicksilver is smart enough to call it out as well. And then one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a Marvel comic happens in this book. And it's the same dumb thing DC did 20 years ago with Triumph. And they introduce a character that used to be here and now she's back. And they're like, oh my gosh, we knew in our biggest hour of need you would come back. And I'm thinking Kree Skrull War, Korvac Saga, Secret Empire. That sucked, but, you know, it wasn't an easy time. So this huge character nobody has heard of, and they thought, well, when we really need you, you would come back. Yet for all those times they really needed her, she was watching Dick Van Dyke. And so we get the final introduction into this, what I say is an action-packed version of the official handbook to the guide to the Marvel Universe. What was that called again? Anyway, we just called it the Marvel Universe, where it tells you who the characters are and what their powers are. That's all the information you get in this one. Okay, the Earth is under attack. How? Why? Don't know. By who? Don't know. What's going on? Don't know. Why are people in stasis? Don't know. Seriously, you get no information other than who they are, what their powers are. Basically, this page right here gives you 2/3 of all the information, and all it does is show a picture and the name. That's it. Congratulations, guys. This book sucked. At least issue 2 starts off strong with a pretty interesting and, I think, kind of newish design on a cover. It looks pretty good, and it tells us basically about what's going on in the story as they add the new character to the classic Avengers #1. And that gives way right on into a recap of issue #2. Here you go, 2/3 of everything you were told in the first issue. I don't mind the way the book opens, where we're reminded Jarvis is injured, Wasp and Beast are working on him. What bothers me is in this scene we learned that Beast has tweaked the hospital's machines to give better bioscans on Jarvis, which makes me just realize the disconnect between superheroes and the real world in the Marvel Universe, and the fact that if they just concentrate with their genius level intellects and such like that, they might actually change the world for the better, even without superheroics. And I'm not talking about world-changing things like put a garden in the desert and that kind of stuff, but simple machinery and technology, yeah, that could help out. Next, we get to the Voyager scenes, and I know this kind of rubbed people the wrong way, and I can understand. Right here, you're getting not only the introduction of a new character, and she's being introduced into scenes from the past, but everybody is just fawning all over her, talking about how she was the greatest of them, and how they're surprised that she's not coming in to take over the lead. And I kind of enjoy this segment, as they try to shoehorn her into classic moments in the Avengers past. Part of the reason I do is because I don't see this lasting. There's something going on here. If they do make her a regular character, then I'm going to hate it retrospectively, but I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop as far as this character is concerned. So I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt and see where all of this is going. The problem with the Voyager scenes is that almost immediately after they're over, they forget the character exists. Or at least it seems to be. So they can have a 22-page argument over who's going to lead. On the next page, there is a lot of Voyager kiss ass, and a really good reaction, I have to say, because she says, I'm not going to take the reins of leadership because you have all the good leadership you need. And it shows Rogue and Sunspot and Falcon, and everybody's like, yeah. And that's kind of how I feel towards them as well. Those are leaders? Yeah. Also, the information given to us is to remind us that because the Earth has been moved away from its moon, there have been tidal waves, earthquakes, volcanoes, which, by the way, Are they still going on? Or is it like, okay, the Earth settled down without having its moon around it, with its gravity messed up? Is it okay now? That doesn't matter. Let's remind you of all these superheroes that are in some sort of stasis. That's what's really important. I got to admit, this is a clever page. See, they're talking about communication, how about everything is messed up and how everything is down. But what they're really doing is showing you who is on whose team. Starting at the top with US Avengers, then the regular Avengers, then Avengers Unity, which is possibly the dumbest name I've ever heard attached to an Avengers team except for Uncanny Avengers. After that, the comic book transports us to the magical world of Egypt, where we see a son trying to get his mom into safety, and she's like, the sky's on fire, we're not going to be safe. And then it transports, we find out what happened. It's like the Black Order and the Lethal Legion. Lethal Legion is a Marvel villain group that's been... their roster changes quite a bit. The Black Order is basically Thanos' backup dancers. And to each group's credit and the writers, this is exactly what I would suspect would happen, is the two just start fighting for what we know as no damn good reason. And I understand the writer wants to keep a little bit of mystery to everything, but so far everything has been a mystery. We have not gotten any idea of why anybody is doing anything in this entire series. Remember, we're 1.5 books in. And finally, while these two groups are fighting, we get somebody saying, hey, whoa, hold on. You guys are not fighting according to the rules. You need to follow the rules of engagement. We're still not told who or why or what, but we are being told that there's some sort of higher power at work here. And it is, what, 3 steps away from our core characters? We have now been separated from the characters we're going to be following so much that the action does not care about them anymore. Instead, we're giving clear motivations, or at least more clear motivations, for these two brand new groups that have been fighting. There is some higher power that are making them fight. First, they've got to find an object. This is the chosen battleground. If they break any of the rules, there will be consequences. Far more that we've learned than we have from the Avengers. Any one of the 3 teams of Avengers that basically has only been introduced in 1.5 books so far. I think Wade is separated from these characters as well. He does not know what to do with them. This page and the next one are basically them standing around saying, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? The first one is like, hey, we can't punch an earthquake. We need an Avengers plan. Yeah, the readers know you need a plan. Come up with a freaking plan. And then the next one is, hey, we've got too many leaders. We need a central leader. Yeah. I mean, this is the boring scenes that are between the action scenes and the good stuff that they don't show you in movies. At least the next scene we have something happening. But the big information we're given here is that Quicksilver is all of a sudden an idiot. Not an arrogant jerk like he's usually portrayed as, but an actual idiot. There's no need for him to turn on the TV screen except to have the bottom panel and them going, I don't think we're in control anymore. Nothing has been said in the last 3 pages. Having said that, in the next 2 pages, we have the Falcon acting quickly, sending his birds out to find out what's going wrong. They see that the bad guys are right above the Avengers Mansion, but before he could warn them, kaboom. This is a great way to build tension. These 2 pages are good, and that's the biggest problem I've had with this story. It's got a good page here, 2 pages here that might work, but overall, there are just not enough good moments to carry. This is not a 12-issue miniseries, guys. Hey, look, guys, it's Quicksilver on the cover of this Avengers No Surrender Part 3 book. Wow, they went from bad to good to boring. This is, okay, I don't know. He's running. There's an explosion behind him. It's like a 2000s movie. Let's walk slowly away from the explosion. So the 3rd issue begins basically with the X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver scene as he realizes the building is about to blow up and decides to get everybody out as fast as possible. The next page basically gives us, well, the destruction that was caused by the explosion at the end of the 2nd issue. So, okay, we are now continuing, and we get the whole villains hanging over all the destruction saying, oh, these guys ain't so tough. What the heck were they saying? Earth's mightiest heroes. They're no problem whatsoever. Cut to Earth's mightiest heroes, where not only Quicksilver, but the new girl Voyager has teleported everybody away. Does she have super speed? Because at this moment, we know nothing about her except for now she can create purple teleportation domes. And we find out that Quicksilver actually didn't get them out. It was all Voyager, and she took them to a forgotten Avengers headquarters. And then, of course, we return to Avengers the Exposition. Now, I don't mind story. I really don't. But they are not telling a story. They're just standing around recapping all of the mysteries and the problems that were created in the first issue that were ignored in the second. We do see that Quicksilver's ready to get out and go fight, but they're like, oh no, hold on, we got to stand around and we got to figure out a strategy, which was exactly the dialogue they were having in issue 2. And if you don't believe me, check out Rogue's dialogue in the bottom right panel where she basically says, hey, we got to figure out all these mysteries from the first issue. Cut to the Grand Master, and we finally get an idea of what's going on and whom is behind it. Grand Master is one of the big players. We're not shown the other one, who he's talking to, at least not on this page, and he's saying, for when the one great scorer comes to write against your name, he writes not that you won or lost, but how you played the game. Grantland Rice. I shall miss the people of Earth, I think, so he reads human poets. Okay. There you go. Grandmaster reads poetry from Earth. And whoever he's playing against says, they understand nothing, Grandmaster. And finally, we get the first bit of important information that there is a game going on between two very powerful beings, and apparently they are picking elements. One, Earth, the game master, and his opponent is fire. And the stakes are they lose their existence. They somehow are going to be blinked out of existence, or that's what we get from the dialogue. I know I've gone into review mode, but originally I started this video out to point out the fact that there's not a lot of information in any of these 3 issues. This is a page that just reminds us, oh yeah, something happened to Jarvis. It really has no bearing so far on the story whatsoever. Unless Jarvis pops up and has the solution to ending whatever is happening, it is wasted pages. Mark Waid has not been able to establish any sense of suspense within the 3 books. Even right here, we're seeing destruction that we already saw in the first issue, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's happening in 3 places at once. And finally, Rogue says, Avengers assemble. I would like to point out that it has now been 2 issues since they stopped the initial attack, and they've been standing around talking about doing nothing. And what's the next page? They stand around talking. And then the dialogue is just them picking teams. I'm going to take this person. You magicians are going to stay here because you don't need to go for your power to work. Quicksilver's thought bubble say, hey, Wanda's been more powerful than ever. Quicksilver's like, hey, Rogue's going to need my super speed. But then she picks Cannonball, and Quicksilver's like, I've been doing this forever. And he's, but she doesn't trust him. So they go off and do battle. Now, had they talked about why they picked those teams, I think it would have been cool, because that would have been dialogue that at least created some character that showed us who they were. But this is just, come along. They even mention that there's 2 lightning-powered people on one team, and it was just, okay, so we have 2, big deal. So these 2 pages weren't even about strategy for the Avengers, which is what they said they were hanging around trying to get anyway. Basically, it's, I pick this team, you pick that team, has that team, go get them. So Rogue's team shows up in Rome, and the bad guys are like, oh, the obstacles are here, let's tactfully destroy this broken-down tourist attraction? I guess. Doesn't make sense. Why would they destroy the Colosseum if there was no tactful reason to do that? It's like Mark Waid is directed by Roland Emmerich. They just want to blow up something everybody recognizes. And we see that Voyager has delivered the next team to Peru. It's not a bad page. Nothing, we're told nothing about it. It's just destruction, which has been going on throughout the entire series. Honestly, I'm going to take a moment, especially on this page, to say I think the art's pretty good in this book. In the series, it has been. I don't think the art's been bad at all. If you've noticed, everything I've had a complaint about or I've been pointing out has been story. Mark Waid has lost his way. Remember how I was talking about useless pages? This one. Hey, where'd this headquarters come from? I think Tony may have forgotten it. Oh look, they're our friends. You remember how they got put in a stasis in the first issue? Just want to tell you they're here. Oh yeah, it's not mystical by nature. And then we see Quicksilver pouting about not being picked for one of the teams. His sister rightfully says, okay, why don't you calm down? They don't trust you. Follow orders and show them that you're mature. That is all we get out of that page. A reminder that there was a problem with heroes being in stasis, which we were reminded about not but 2 pages before, 3 maybe. So it's just a rehash of a rehash in the same comic. But we do get the fact that Quicksilver is unable to follow orders, which we already know that about him, and he rushes off. Hey, another good page. We're getting exposition over the battle scene, and we're getting characterization from Quicksilver. Good job, Mark Waid. As a matter of fact, I've got to give it up. The end of this book is pretty good. We see Scarlet Witch trying to bring the Vision out of his trance. Quicksilver shows up just as Rogue's team goes down, and he starts kicking all sorts of ass. It's an exciting scene, and it gives us enough story to follow along, and it moves the story forward as we see Quicksilver go into that stasis as Vision comes out of it. It does create another mystery, but it also gives us information. The cliffhanger, however, it really kind of leaves me dry, and this is the reason. Every one of the Avengers in front of these people should be dead. If this is the Black Order, they should be dead. Because there's no reason for Thanos' backup dancers to leave anybody alive. That's their whole point, is to raise worlds. So, I don't know. But you know that Quicksilver more than likely isn't going to be dead. And if he is, he ain't going to be dead for long. So, let me do a little summary here, I guess. Okay, so obviously I'm not a fan of the No Surrender storyline. I have made that perfectly clear here, and I've pointed out why. This is not just written for the trades. This is written for a 12-week series that is, what, $2.99, $3.99 each? Seriously. And I've pointed out how little information has been given to us. It really is not a 12-issue series, but it's being stretched out that far. I don't know. It's just, it is not that good. It's not, it is, as Shakespeare says, full of sound and fury and signifying nothing. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? How wrong am I to you? Please let me know why. Don't just, oh, you suck, motherfucker. Tell me why, okay? Because anytime I read a comment like that, I like it, you go to hell. I read it in the stupid voices. You sound stupid. So don't be stupid. If you disagree with me, tell me why you disagree with me. I had one guy write 2 pages. He missed the point of my video, but at least he got into why he disagreed. I love that kind of shit. Also, if you like this video, you know the drill. Click like, share, get the word out about the channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And if you're already subscribed, make sure that notification bell is rung. Don't want to miss anything because cool things happen around these parts. Also, this is the way you make a living, so if you don't mind, head on over to Patreon. Drop $1 in the till. Help us keep the lights on and help us keep making videos. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.